Hi there. Welcome and welcome back to the Whole Bucket and to the Friday Freebie feature. This week I am featuring some digital freebies from Ink and Page. That's Ink and Page over on Etsy. They are a digital kit supplier, and I believe her name is Debbie, and I love that shop. So every Friday, and I believe every Monday as well, freebies come out. And this is the one we're going to work with today. And this is an especially large one. So sometimes it's just a page of some stuff to play with, and they're just fabulous. But this one is a little bit spoiled because it comes with this page of bits and this full page of roses that is sort of upside down. There we go. And this whole page of a stripe design, and they are all color coordinated. I have already cut this stuff out, so I'm going to set this page aside and we'll use the pieces that I have already cut out. And we're not going to use the rose page just yet. We're going to start with this stripy bit. And I am going to pull out my paper trimmer. If you don't have a paper trimmer, of course, just cut with scissors. And any scissors you have will do, because it's just paper. And it's not fancy, and it doesn't need to be. It'll all work. I use my paper trimmers because my hands don't like scissors very much. So, you know, I have these things. And I'm just going to go through and trim off all the white edges. Boy, this trimmer needs a new blade badly too. I just got done experiencing ripping a paper apart instead of actually cutting it, because my another trimmer that I have is just so dull, it's ridiculous. This one is not a lot different. Yipes! I'm gonna need new... Boy, did this print lopsided. I'm gonna need new blades. Okay, there we go. Oi, 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 oi. So, Friday freebie feature, showing off freebies of digitals that you can find on the internet and different ways to play with them. So far, I'm just gonna do, I don't know why I said so far, not so far, but I'm just gonna do a simple mini notebook kind of idea with this digital, because it's one of my favorite things to do. And you saw me fold it in half the hot dog way. Now I have folded it in half the hamburger way, and I'm going to take each side and fold it to that middle crease. Or almost just a hair before that middle crease, actually. That's just so that when I put this thing together, it folds decent. Like here, I just let my fold shift a little, and it's already overlapping itself. That's no good. There we go. Fixed. And further established. There we go. All right, so I got all of my lines, and I'm gonna do the tricky one. I don't do this a lot, so I'm not used to it really, but I'm just using I'm just using an inking brush. This is how I get rid of my extra ink. And I'm only doing this to show where the lines are because they're really hard for me to see. So if your lines are also hard to see, this is one way to get them to show up. Another way is just, you know, hold your pencil on the side so you kind of shade over. And your lines will show up also. Now I'm going to take a scissors and I'm going to take a ruler and my finger blade. You could also do this with scissors or a X-Acto knife of some sort. But I'm going to cut from this intersection right here to this intersection right here. And just stop right there. Let's make sure it cut all the way. It did. We're done with that. Done. Done. Okay, so now we have this piece of paper and it's got a cut in the middle, and we're going to fold it the hot dog way, but not all the way the hot dog way, right? And we're going to kind of squish like this. See that? It happens more automatic than you would think, so it looks weird, but it's actually not that tough. Grab these middle ones, fold it hot dog wise and hamburger wise at the same time by squishing it all together. This is what you want. And then we're gonna fold. Now, I'm going to grab a bone folder because I have them. If you don't have a bone folder, you don't need one. You can use a spoon or a butter knife or the edge of your scissor handle or any old thing. And all you're doing is strengthening those folds in place, helping that paper get the fibers in the positions you want them to be. So I'm just folding the book like it's pages, because I mean that's what we're turning it into, right? Pages of the book. And creasing every step of the way. There's the spine creased on the first page. Actually, this will end up being the last page, won't it? I'll do the page and the spine. I'll do the top of the page because there's not a fold here, right? So just the top of the page and the spine. This one has a fold, so I'll go up and down the fold and the spine again. This one does not have a fold at the edge, so I'm going to go across the top again. And the spine. The more you do that, holding all your pages in place and fiddling with them to get them even, the straighter they'll be. Now this is not going to be perfectly straight, so don't look like perfectly straight and aligned. I've gotten this one about as good as I've ever gotten, and I don't know if you can see, but there's still little edges that don't line up exactly. That's because when you fold, there's thickness to paper, right? So it shifts a little bit. And it's perfectly okay. That's just the way it's going to be, and it's not a big deal. So now what do we have here? We have ourselves a little booklet. Look at how cute that is. One thing that has to be decided is about these pages that are folded but open like this. What are we going to do with those? How are we going to decorate this thing? How do we want, what and where do we want glued? And first thing I'm going to do is glue this section right here because I want the front cover glued. Front cover. All right. I lost my glue stick. There it is. Because this is paper on paper, I'm just going to use glue stick. If I was doing something heavier or fancier or whatever, I do have other glues, but they're really not necessary. In fact, this is a Yoo-hoo glue stick, but this isn't necessary either. In this case, because all we're doing is paper on paper, any glue stick will work. Obviously, if you want longevity in your piece, you might want to use some more expensive glues, but I'm thinking this is a thing to throw in your purse or on your nightstand and just have it be a little temporary place that you throw ideas, or it could be a little gratitude thing that you carry around with you, like not especially, but for if you're somebody prone to anxiety, right, and you put some things in here that make you happy, some textures, some looks, some words that make you happy, then this is a cool little thing for that. You're feeling the anxiety, feeling the stress, rather than having an anxiety attack, pull out your little book and get your brain off of what's causing the anxiety and onto something that you find positivity in. I don't know. The uses for these little things are endless, and they make great gifts. So there's that. Now I'm wondering if I want to glue this side too, or if I want to leave that top open right there and have that be a pocket. I'm not really sure. I'm going to think about it a minute. I'll show you something. Here's one of the things I'm thinking about. This was on that ephemera page, and it is an envelope, and I've got it all cut out here, and it's one of those coin envelopes. This is just another sheet printed on the back of the coin pocket. But I'm wondering if this will fit in here. Wow. Almost. It looks like I'm kind of pushing my luck if I think that's going to fit. You know what? It might. It really, okay, it might fit in the envelope. Okay, I'm going to think about that. While I was trying that to see if that works, I also decided that I am going to go ahead and leave this open, but glue this one. Again, because this is going to be the back cover, I don't really want to put a pocket in here. So I am going to do my best to get my glue stick in to spaces that I've already glued down, right? Because of that other cover. Yikes, man. Should really make all these decisions before I put glue on stuff, but, you know. I'm just trying to show you anything will work. Whatever you do, it's going to work out. It's going to be okay. It's just paper. Whoopsies. I glued this together very lopsided. Come on. Come apart. All the way apart. All the way. There we go. All right. It just was not going to go all the way. There we go. So now I've decided that the front cover is going to be nice and sturdy. The back cover is going to be nice and sturdy. I don't like how lopsided this is, but I'm not going to change that little white crease right there. I'm not going to change it just yet. But remember, when you're folding this stuff, your papers can shift. There's just layers on layers, and they're not meant to do that. So it can happen. I'm going to pull you in closer because I think we're going to stay this little now. So now you can see what the heck we're working on better. Okay. So I'm thinking we might end up putting the whole thing in that envelope when it's done. So let's take a look at what else we have to work with as far as decorations go. We have this whole page of roses, and we have these little bits right here. And then we have this page that is not glued in any way yet. And this page that is also not glued, but we're going to put a pocket right there. I think the very first thing I'm going to do is grab my hole puncher and just put a thumb tab in the top of this thing. So I am making the commitment that yes, this is going to be a pocket. I'm just kind of eyeballing where the center is. I'm not worrying about being exact. Here we go. I wonder if this card will fit in there. And then hopefully you can still pull it out. Like, is it the right height? Oh my gosh, it's perfect. I wonder if she planned on that. But that, look at that. Beautiful. Oh, I printed it on the back too, but I don't think I want to leave it like that. You know what I want to do? I want to pull out a piece of coffee dyed paper. Rawr. I can't reach up that high. Hold on. Hold on, folks. Oh, I even pulled out a ripped one. Awesome. So I'm just going to pull out a piece of tea-dyed paper, and I'm going to rip the edges. Because I like torn edges, and I want this thing to be, end up a little smaller than the card itself. Okay, now let me tear off this little extreme point here, and then I'll tear across the top and the side, and we'll see what we got. I should back you out a little bit. I mean, we're getting a little too close and friendly here. There we go. I think that's a little better. Okay, there we go. I can already see I'm going to need to tear some more, but let's just see what I got. Yeah, so I like pretty much all of it, except you can see it's too wide and too wonky on this side. So I'm going to try to straighten it out a little bit, at the same time making it the right width. We'll see how I do. Not too shabby, really. Look at that. Ooh. The question here is, do I tear another little tiny bit off? And my answer to me is yes. I'm going to try to tear off just another tiny bit because I want a little bit more of a border around the writing space. Let's see how that was. I like it. All right, we got a piece right there. Now, I thought I was going to avoid edging my paper, but I'm not going to avoid it because I can't seem to help myself. So let me grab a dauber. And one of my favorite colors, Victorian Velvet Oxide. And let's just make a kind of a fuzzy bit edge to this. That first little section I went in farther than I wanted. I just wanted to go in a little bit. But so right here I went in farther than I wanted to with the ink. So the way that I can make that look better is to make sure that I balance it on the other end, or in any other part, really. Just balance it in any other part. So I got that out, and apparently I'm doing edging because I can't help myself. I'm also going to do corner rounding, so I'm going to take the library card piece, and I'm going to take my corner rounder, and I think I will use the medium bit. And then I'm going to edge this as well, just because I like how it makes it feel like more of a finished piece, right? If you don't have inks and you're just getting your freebies because you want to play or you want to try it out, see how you like doing this kind of thing, you can do the same thing with markers. Like, just lay the edge of your marker there and run it across that line. If you have things like Sharpies, it's gonna bleed into the paper. If you have just watercolor markers, I don't remember my watercolor markers bleeding in too much, but I have done this lots with just markers, and it's just fine. I have also done it with watercolors or pencils or paints. I have even taken a pen and drawn on this very edge. So lots of ways to get the job done. And I think that I did the drawing on the edge because I wanted a specific color and I didn't want it to bleed in, and I didn't have an ink, and I only had Sharpies, and I don't know, but the ridiculousness you can get to is, you know, ridiculous. So let's get this glued on. We'll make our second actual commitment. And you know what? I'm gluing the wrong side. Nice going, lady. Ooh, there we go. Yeah. Worse things have happened. Okay. Move that out of the way. Glue this down. Whoopsies. Get that extra glue off because that was just silliness. That's not glue, that's paper. I'm wrecking my stuff. It's okay, I'll fix it later. There we go. So yeah, because I tore it and glued it wrong and all that jazz, I ended up with a big fat mess right here. I'm leaving it because I will show you some things that you can do if you also make a big fat mess of your stuff. Don't overstress it. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. You just go with what happens, and in a bit I'll show you what you can do about it. So there's one piece we got going on. Let me pull the book back and figure out what we're going to do next. So then, okay, we have this. And what I think I'd like to do with this, gosh, there's a couple of things, but I mean, one of the things is we can turn this into a pocket also. And one of the things I like to do is fold the bits in so you get a nice reinforced pocket. So now if I folded both of them down right, I could just have a pocket, tuck pocket right here where stuff is going to go in. Another thing that can be done though is you can fold these bits down like this. Because this isn't printed on both sides, it leaves this big white triangle, and I don't love that. So if I decide to do this, we're going to have to do something about that. But then not glue this down, right? Have this as a flip up. So you have this sitting here like this, and then this can flip up, and there can be writing space under here. I think I will leave both examples as they are, and I'll show you what you can do about this white bit if you also don't like plain white paper. I could just take my inker and ink it up, right, and then decorate it, but I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to take another tea-dyed paper, This is tea-dyed tracing paper. And I am going to put this in the pocket. All the way over and all the way down. Just like that. Is it all the way? Come on. What is your problem? You know what the problem is that when you coffee dye paper, it gets a little wrinkly. That's the problem. Okay, I'm going to take a piece of tea-dyed paper, and I'm going to put it all the way into that pocket, or at least as close to all the way as I can get it to go. All right, there we go. I'm going to leave it just like that. Now, uh-oh, my glue stick is stuck. There we go. I am going to open up this edge just a bit and put some glue down there. And then let me get this stopper bit. I'm going to get glue all over this folded bit. There we go. And then I'm actually gonna fold it this way. Get that glued down and then fold it this way. Okay. So now we want to trim this. You can trim this any way you want to. I'm actually pulling out a scissors this time. My hand can complain all it wants, but this super sharp Fiskars squeezy scissors is the best way I know to trim such fine paper. I'm still doing kind of a lousy job at it because my hands just don't behave. They just don't. But it doesn't matter. There we go. There. Now we've got this flip up bit. Oops, I know what's wrong. I couldn't tell why I couldn't turn the page. Well, because I had the front cover tucked under and it was just pulling. Uh-oh, and there I did it again. I'm a little heavy-handed today. Look at, I just keep ripping all my papers. I just did it again. Good grief, man. It is not my day, I'm telling you. Okay, I'm going to edge this page with pink, just like the card. Again, I'm not worrying about the parts that I tore, and I will show you why in just a little bit. Same as the other tears that I didn't mean to do, and now I did. And since we have to wait a minute for this glue to dry, I'm going to go ahead and ink a bunch of the rest of the book. So let's go across the top of the tag page and ink that thumb notch a bit. I'll do the page edges because that's just fun. Since I'm at it, I might as well do the page tops and the page bottoms and just do all the pages because that's where I'm heading anyway, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I just ink all the things. Look how easy that is though. Just get any kind of spongy thing. It doesn't have to be a dauber that sits on your fingers. It can just be any kind of spongy thing. Or any marker. Like I mentioned before, this isn't any different edging, right? It can still be just done with any of the things you got. I think I'm going to do this little spiny bit too, even though I think the spine might end up being something different. I don't know that for sure yet. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that. That may or may not be covered up at some point. Okay. Well, that was quick. I don't think that was too difficult at all. Let's see if this thing has dried enough to not stick to its pocket. All right, let's try this in its pocket. Very nice. Good stuff. Okay. And then that needs to dry more before we can really lay this down. But what if we use the card in here, just like I first was demoing, like we could make this a tuck. Well, maybe we just go ahead and make that a tuck. So maybe we turn this into a little bit stronger tag than it is. And we go ahead and glue this edge shut. Turn that into a pocket. So I'm going to take my liquid glue and just inside here, I'm just going to put a little tiny blue bead of glue, but I'm going to make sure I get under that tissue paper a bit too, so that because now we got 3 layers here, right? Not just the 2. So let's make sure we get that down and then get the whole thing closed. Okay. There we go. There we go. Now we have a large top load pocket, and we've got a slanted pocket, and we've got a flip up here, and we need this turned into a larger tag because it's kind of small for that pocket. Maybe, ooh, I got me an idea. Hang on, folks. Maybe we turn it into a card. In fact, no maybes. I'm just going to turn it into a card. No maybes. We're just committing. So I want this to be as tall as this. I want to make sure it's tall enough first. So I'm going to chop this. I'm going to chop it right at that little rose right there. Make sure that we definitely have it tall enough. Well, it looks like we'll probably even have some room to trim. But this should give us a good starting point. And then I'm just going to go around quick, getting rid of the white edges again. And then, what did I just do? Oh, leave it to me. Good grief, girl. Oh, there it is. I don't care so much about the front. Like normally you might want to make sure that these roses are on the front of your card, but I'm going to put this on the front of my card, so I don't care too terribly much. Where they end up. But I do kind of want like some leaves showing around it would be cool. And making sure the roses are on the back would be cool. So yeah, I think I'm going to do it right here. I'm going to do a fold right here. because now this is what's going to be on the back. And I like saving those flowers for the back. Next thing to do is figure out where I want to trim this thing. And mark it with a pencil. So I think about here and about here. Gives me about the size mat that I want around this whole card. Where's that line again? Oh, I wasn't paying attention to which line I had. Okay, here we go. There we go. And then this one. And it's way up there at the top. See it? Oh, it came into view. There we go. Not bad. Okay. Now we have a card. I am going to round the edges so that it matches the card and matches the other card that we made. I am going to edge this thing because it's what I do. Not required. It is, however, required that you repeat yourself about whether or not you choose to edge your paper. Just over and over repeat yourself. Look at, we got those roses so nice on the back. That's just perfect. Good job. And if you folded yours and didn't get quite what you wanted, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. There are ways to fix everything. I have yet to run into something that couldn't be fixed in one way or another. And if the way to fix it is to throw it away and start over, you know what? It's just paper. It's just paper. It's not anything special until you've got it done and the way you want it. Then it is no longer just paper. But until that happens, it's just paper. Okay. This was also printed on the back, so I sure didn't have to do any of this, right? If you print something on the back and it is fine the way it is and that's all you want it to be, then just keep that. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you can just, I do that for a reason, right? The printing on the back. And the biggest reason is because if you are creating even a mini notebook like this or a whole giant journal, one of the things that happens quite readily to these kinds of pieces of art is that they end up being much fatter than you thought they were going to be. It's kind of like making vegetable soup. You start out just trying to make a little pot of vegetable soup, and before you know it, you have a 3-month supply because you're just going to add one more thing and you just want a little extra carrot and you know how it goes. You know what I'm saying. Look at that. Look at that lovely card. Now, I could now open this card and because I don't like the plain white paper, I could take my tea-dyed paper, or coffee-dyed in this case, and line the inside of this card also. In the interest of keeping this notebook not a chunky monkey, a complete chunky monkey, I'm going to just leave it white, but line it, edge it with a little bit of a pink shadowy bit, just to get the color coordination thing in there. Okay, just like that. Just like that. And now we have a little card. And let's see how this is going in the book. That is not the book. This is the book. There we go. Hopefully I didn't make this too big, because if you saw, I didn't even measure. I just tried the card. It was too small. I said, oh, let's make a card. Didn't pay attention at all to what I was doing. Oh, I've accidentally glued my pocket shut. This is the best thing for when I accidentally glue things, because this is a super thin. The metal is super, super, super thin, and it's a little flexible, which is kind of a bummer because you really don't want it moving, right? But it's kind of like a saw. So I can get it into places, and I can make sure that I cut apart the parts that are glued that I don't want glued. Okay. That's because of that tissue paper that's in there. Tissue paper, glue can go right through it sometimes. Yeah, this is too big. Gosh darn me. Okay, so the way to fix that is to just take a little sliver off this front edge. And then I'm going to have to re-round and re-ink. And you know what? That's what you get for not measuring, lady. Now you got to redo your efforts. It's all right. I don't mind. Okay. Let's try again, shall we? Yep. Just that hair. Just that tiny hair of a bit is all it takes to fix that situation. Okay. Would have been better if I measured in the first place, but you know what? It's fine. There we go. So we have a flip spot, a card, and a tag. Let's work on fixing this flip spot. We can fix the errors, and this is no writing space the way it is right here. So we're going to turn that into a writing space. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fold this. I'm not cutting anything. I'm folding. Right? Time for the big scissors. You notice I didn't pay attention to what size or if it was squared or anything at all, right? I just got an edge, and that's all I want right now is an edge, because this might not be square either. I don't claim to fold everything exactly as I need it to be folded, right? So what I'll do is I'll make this bit right here, mark these lines, and then pull my trimmer back again. Or actually, I'll just do this with the scissors to show you really don't need a trimmer. I'm going to follow this line, but I'm going to go right inside this line a bit, so that this triangle piece is going to end up being set just inside the edges of that fold. But now it's following its lines. This is going to get glued right into here, and it's going to be hiding under there. The only question now is, do I glue it down to here, or do I glue it to the underside of the flip? I think I'm just going to glue it down to here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue on this section only. Excuse my arm all the time. My glue seems to be sticking to its container rather than to... I mean, I seem to have glued my glue to its holder a bit. I will fix that later. Alright, so I've got this glued on the one side. I'm tucking it right up tight to the fold, and then I'm going to just fold that down to make sure that it's all in place and secure, and then pull this up before I glue the whole thing shut when I really don't want to. There we go. Come on. Come on. There we go. Alright, everything is in place. I need to let this dry a little bit so I don't accidentally glue it completely shut up upon itself. And while it's drying a speck, I'm going to think about what to do about this mess. So, this did come with some extra bits, right? That's obviously too big and not really going to help me any. Unless I cut it really weird, and that would be a shame because that's a lovely lantern. That kind of works. If this was just a tuck spot, it would work, but since it's a flip up, this sticky out bit of the book won't work. And this rose definitely does work, but doesn't get down to this corner that I wrecked. So I think the rose might end up being here, but it needs some help. I'm not sure what kind of help I'm going to give it. We could do a strip of this, or wait. Oh no, we don't have a stripe, do we? Because I used them all. Well, I do have this. So this is one that I printed out and got messed up. So I wonder if I could take a stripe of the scraps. I'm going to try this. I am going to do a bit of tearing ruler. And tear out down this pink edge right here. I know I don't need this much, but extra doesn't hurt. Okay, there we go. Now, what if I take this all the way out to the edge of this, and then where did the rose go? And then put this rose like this. Very nice. I like that. I think we're going to do that. So I will be a big girl and try the scissors again. I want a straight edge on the bottom, but I don't want this white. I want it to just be the dark pink. So I'm going to try to follow this line. Jeez, I'm bad at cutting with scissors. Okay. There is a reason why I'm making so much of this dark pink edging. If you didn't have this, you could color a piece to match. You could just use the inker to do some background. You could have some green and cut out some leaves and put some more leaves behind the rose. You could just draw some leaves behind the rose, do some doodling. You could put a piece of fabric there. Cheesecloth and colored cheesecloth, one of my absolute favorite things for layering. A piece of lace doily, paper doily, right, is always good for layering. What else? What else? I mean, anything. Anything that's thin and gluable can be used for layering. Okay, so there's what I'm going to do there. I'm going to glue this down to the edge. I think I'm going to take it right about there so I can cut this edge off to match, and I'm going to do it to there so I can tuck this end in and glue it. Let's glide this across the glue stick. Get this in position. There we go. Very nice. Now, I want this. Don't need as much as I left, so I'll cut it a little bit, but I want this to tuck into that space right there. Glad it wasn't all the way dry yet, because I got to open that up and tuck it in proper. No, it's not going to glue back together proper though. It was wet enough to let me open it a little bit, but not wet, so wet that it will re-glue. Oh my gosh, my glue is leaking all over the place too. Okay, well, there we go. There we go. And then snip this little bit off. And ink that edge just a speck. Make sure it blends in with all the other stuff. And then let's ink up the rose. All right. There we go. Now, just get some glue on that and get that into place. Whee! There we go. Now we have a flip up journaling space with a couple of little sections in it. We've got a pocket or a tuck spot or a this is kind of a tuck pocket right here. With a card in it. We have a full tuck right here with our journaling card in it, or our tag in it. Now what do? I might have to trim that. Okay, we'll see. That might have to get trimmed a bit. Well, one thing we can do is just decorate this page, and I think what we're going to do is tear out another, I think I'm going to torn edge another piece of tea-dyed paper. I wonder if I can tear it around the book. I'm going to try this. This is one way to get it exactly what you want, isn't it? Get back up there, you. Well, that part's not quite right. That's all right. I think I'm going to have to do this anyway. Because I like that I'm doing it right against the edge, but again, I want it inset a little bit. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm lining this up just a little bit to the side of that line, and I'm lining it straight across the bottom so I can put this along the lines of the grid and get it somewhat straight. I'll do the same thing for this top bit, but I'm going to go down quite a bit for this one, I think. The lines on my grid are just wearing out so badly. Okay, I think I'm going to do that. All right, let's see what we got for this. That's a lovely little writing spot and a lovely decoration for it. Quicker than ever edging, because as usual this video is running long. Why would I want to do anything short? It's just not my style. I'm more of a craft with me kind of girl. Station, channel. And let's do the same to the book. If I wanted to create some drama, I would edge everything in black. If I wanted to create or accentuate the vintagey bit, I would outline everything in brown or vintage photo, since, you know, it's got vintage right in the name. Or any of those kinds of colors, any in the brown family. The brown to the orange family is just a lovely vintage. This could be turned into a tuck spot, but I printed this on just plain old paper, so it's not very strong. So in this case, I am only using it for decoration. Okay, there we go. That's what I want to do. Let's get some glue on this. I didn't put a glue page under here, so I'm going to have to be careful so I don't get it on my cutting mat, so I don't glue our book straight to the cutting mat. I have done that. It happens. So I want this closer to the top than the bottom, and I want to make sure I don't get any of this paper into the fold, because this needs room to close. There we go. And then let's get this glued down. Okay, there we go. Purely decoration bit. So, I love this piece. Because I have a thing for lanterns anyway. So I think I'm not going to get too terribly fancy. The whole idea is to show you what you can get for free and what you can make simply. And I've already used a bunch of stuff that people might not really have. I have told you ways to get things done even if you don't have the same thing I do, but what if you just don't have anything? Well, you don't really need anything. Here I am edging it, but like I said, use anything. A crayon, a marker, a pen, watercolor, food color, you know, whatever. Use whatever you got. But you don't have to do anything, right? There are no rules to this whatsoever. So I'm just going to take this piece because I like it so much, because I love lanterns. I'm just going to edge it. And that's all I'm going to do for the cover, right? I'm just going to put it right on just like that. A lot of times I would layer. I might put something behind this. I might put something in front of it. I still could do that. Put something in front of it if I wanted to. I could add a sentiment here, some kind of word, a little tag thing that could be for titling this little mini journal if you wanted. But look at how cute it is just as it is. Just as it is. It's fine. So I'm actually going to leave it at this, other than seeing if we can get the whole thing in an envelope. We could gift this, right? But take a look. We still have this whole sheet of paper, or whole sheet, this half sheet, basically, of paper left over. So we could do further decorating. I'm simply not going to because we're kind of running out of time. But what we ended up with is this book with writing space here, a card in here, a flip here with a flip in a flip. So you have more writing space. And let's get that off of there. A big pocket with a tag. Some pages that are untouched so far. Untouched. You could just take more blank paper or lined paper or coffee dyed paper and put it on here if you wanted to. You could make a mini signature and sew it into here if you wanted to. Again, none of it's necessary, but there are tons of options. But you could just leave it like this and gift this to someone, or have it for yourself. But let's see, if you were to gift it to someone, could you do this? So if I just get this in the center, the question is going to be if this has to fold around the book, because now it's a little fatter than it used to be even. Is it still going to be gluable? Boy, just barely. Look at that. There is a tiny bit of overlap there. I'm going to put, I'm going to put a tiny bead of glue. I'm not even squeezing the bottle. I'm just running that edge there. Okay, I really should have edged the envelope with the pink too, and I didn't. And I'm not going to go backward. Okay, now this one, which will help hold it shut in the long run, can have more glue on it because obviously that's going to overlap more. And then I might just put some Velcro dots there. Whoops. Come on. I may have gotten a little carried away with the glue. I may have made the envelope a little too tight, is what I may have done. Because now I can't get the book out. There we go. Oh my gracious. Oh, that's funny. Okay, there's our envelope. I'm going to curl this just a little bit because it's going to have to curl over the book too. I'm going to get an estimate for where this is, and I'm going to show you something you can do. I want to fussy cut this rose, but I want it to be double layered. So I am going to Look at that. I keep gluing my glue stick to its holder. It's okay. Doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is put some glue in there and fold this over. Cut that out. And then I am going to semi-fussy cut this. Like, I don't want to take a ton of time at it for two reasons. I mean, one is obviously you don't want to sit and watch me cut, right? I mean, how exciting is all this? Can you stand the thrill of watching me cut? But also, the truth is it doesn't matter. As long as you get close to the lines, nobody's going to know where the lines used to be. Let's edge this up quick. Get some drama going on in this rose, and then let's just do some of the envelope, just because. Just because. I'm going to show you a way that you can just make a paper closure. So if you have some glue and you've printed out the pages, you're good to go. I'm also going to kind of repair the situation where I've made this envelope too tight. If I take this and line these two lines up, right? I'm not doing a hard fold here in the center yet. I will, because I'm going to have to, but I'm just lining up these two the two side fold lines. I'm going to go in here now, and I'm going to cut out a deeper opening. I hope I didn't go too deep, because now I need the flap to go over it. Yep, it does. Okay. Again, measure before you make these decisions. But everything's fixable. It's only paper. So, obviously the reason I did that is so that you can get your grubby little paws on this book a little better, because I made the envelope entirely too tight. And I really want it to go in the envelope. Here's what I wanted to show you on this part. This needs to dry a little bit more for it to be effective. But what I am going to do, and what you can also do if you want to, is I'm going to take this rose and I'm going to glue it so that there's not a ton of the rose going above the edge of the envelope flap. So I'm going to glue this right about here, and I'm only going to put glue from the center of the rose down. Right now, this is a little wet because I just glued the two layers of paper together. So this isn't going to work as well as it will when it's all dry, right? But this is now just a tuck-in flap. This flap just tucks right behind that rose, and it will hold the envelope shut. And there we have a lovely little gift with plenty of more decorating that you could do, or writing space for you, or if you do gift it for the owner. You don't have to use the envelope like I am to put the book in, because obviously it's not really designed for doing that. And have I glued it in there completely? I may have glued it in here completely. I'm getting a bit ridiculous, guys. I'm getting a lot ridiculous. What have I done here? Make sure I haven't glued anything. And I'm just envelope challenged. I think I'm just envelope challenged. It doesn't feel glued. Look at that. Huh. All right. That's the end, though. The end. This is our little project. Only because I've run out of time. Right? There's more you can do. Even with just the leftover rose paper, you can still do more stuff. If you wanted to, though, you could make this an envelope just like this, right? Just like this. Exact same way. And use this to be something in the journal. If I didn't glue it wider and poofier, it would fit in here. I made it to go around the journal instead of in the journal, but I think you get what I'm saying. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Go ahead and find the freebies at Ink and Page. You will find some links below. Sign up for her newsletter, and she will send you a newsletter that will have freebies in it from time to time. And you have stuff to play with, and you too can make this cute little book. See you next time on Friday Freebie Feature. Oh, like, subscribe, and leave comments. Thanks. Bye.